Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z. I'm Linda Gibbs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada. This is my weekly live, so welcome if you are watching for the first time. If you've watched before, thank you for watching. If you would like to share with your friends, that is the best compliment you can give. Let me know if you're watching. Make sure you comment and say hi, and maybe let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear from you. You know, it's more fun to craft with other people. It's not always fun to just do your own thing. So it's nice to know there's people out there watching. If you're watching the replay, comment. Feel free to comment. I do try and go back and look, and I will answer any questions that you might have. And yeah, so today I'm going to be doing some background techniques using the new Leaf Collection stamp. It is a really nice big stamp. I don't think we've had very many of these, but it's really nice because I like how bold it is and it's solid. So you can do lots of things with it. I'm doing my usual 3 cards today, but there's so many more things you can do. I also don't want to forget to remind you that for the month of May, Stampin' Up! Has a really great starter kit, I don't want to call it a sale, starter kit deal on right now. So the starter kit is always $135. You get to choose $165 worth of product, and there's no shipping. And if you're in Alberta, like me, there's no tax. If you're in other provinces, there is whatever other taxes other than GST. So there's no GST. I guess I should say it that way. And then on top of that, so that's our regular starter kit. So for this month, they've added on to that. And you get all the new in colors for this year, the 2024 to 2026 in colors. So you get the 5 stamp pads. You get all 5 cardstock colors. I think it's a mixed pack. I don't think it's one of each. And then you get the pack of 6x6 designer series paper, all the in colors. And then you get all 5 markers as well. So it's a $112 value on top that you get on top of your $165 worth of product. So it's a really good time to get that starter kit if you've been thinking about it. So if you want any more information about that, you can always send me a note and ask any questions. Once I flip the camera, you'll see the link to my store, and that's how you can go on and just hit the join button if that's what you're wanting to get. All right, let's get turned around and let's start crafting. All right. Oh yes, I forgot about this taller setup. Should we zoom in a little bit? I wonder. It's a little bit far out. I need better technology, sorry. Oh! I'm really gonna make you guys seasick. Okay. That's a little bit better. Okay. Let's try and pull it up on Facebook here so you can see if there's any comments, any friends. We'll give a minute for people to join. Where am I here? Last week I didn't freeze up, and that was so nice because then I can see better what I'm showing you guys. All right, I am there. I am unfrozen for now. We'll see if it lasts. All right, so this is the starter kit. This is the extra stuff you can get. You can always use the, what do you call it? My words. Scan the code. I can't remember what they're called. Anyways, it's not important. Not important. All right, so we have this leaf collection, which is a large background stamp. Now, we no longer have the Stamparatus, which is what this is. There is a similar product out there that you can get, not through Stampin' Up, but it's called the Misty. You can find them anywhere almost. Just type in Misty and it'll pop up. Probably on Amazon even. Same kind of thing. It doesn't have removable plates like this one, but that's okay. I'm using this because I had my big block, which is the other way you can use this. I'm using it with another stamp, and I didn't want to take it off because I was being lazy. And I also find for some of these techniques I'm doing, it's nice to be able to stamp it multiple times and know that you're stamping in the same place. And that's what these tools are for. So the Misty or Stamparatus, if you still have one, is a great tool to be able to stamp multiple times if you want a really solid stamp. And because there's so much solidness to this, I like the idea of being able to stamp it more than once. All right, so we've got our stamp. It's mounted onto my Stamparatus. I don't have the extra pad in there because when you're using a cling, it has the foam, so it's thicker and you don't need it. And we will get started. I'm showing you the stamp, but for this first card, I'm not actually going to do the stamping because I'm reusing what I've already done. So what I did was I took Petal Pink, Calypso Coral, and Mossy Meadow, and I just inked it all up, stamped it on 3 separate pieces of basic white to get, let's move this out of the way, move this out of the way. Things take up so much room. So I got 3 basically 4.25 by 5.5 pieces with Petal Pinks and Mossy Meadows and Calypso Coral. So for the card that I made, I've already used some of it, but I figured I may as well use the rest of it for this second card instead of stamping it all over again. You will see me stamp the next 2, so I didn't figure you needed to see me stamp over and over again. So for this first one, surprise, surprise, for those who know me, you know I do not like fussy cutting, but I am going to fussy cut. And it's actually a really good trick is that if you are fussy cutting, and like I don't want to go in and do all this detail, so I'm going to leave quite a bit of white, and that's okay because I'm going to be gluing this onto a white background. So you're not going to be able to tell that I haven't cut it all out. It's more just to take off the little pieces so I can mix and match my colors, really, is my goal in this. So yeah, it makes it pretty simple. I have to rejig my setup. I've got my iPad on one side and I'm not used to looking that way. Probably because my head doesn't like to turn that way. I don't know. I have some neck issues. And they become very apparent when I'm like even watching TV. If I'm sitting on the sofa, I can only sit, like if I'm sitting at an angle, usually I'll try and sit so I'm straight on, but if I'm at an angle and I have to turn my head, it has to be a certain way. Same with talking to people, I find. Like sometimes when you're out for dinner and you're kind of turned to talk to someone, oh man, I have to be a certain way or it just doesn't work. Oh, and I'm just going to cut this one off because it's not really attached the way it was done. Okay, and then, oh, this isn't going to work. Where's my, oh, I know what happened to my red piece. I should have cut out the green. Doing this all backwards. Sorry. It's because I have this piece here, because my red one, my Calypso Coral, so you're gonna laugh. I was trying to cheat. I was trying to use, I had the brilliant idea, I was gonna use the scan and cut and just get it, put all three down, and it's nice and bold. It should be able to cut, no problem. Yeah. I did a couple attempts with some fiddling around, and my mat is not sticky enough anymore. And I did tape my stuff down, but it started moving, and oh my gosh, I just threw my hands up and said, fine, I'll fussy cut. Someone's telling me I need to fussy cut. When it's more work to set up the machine, if I was doing a bunch and I was just gonna put the sheet down and do sheet after sheet after sheet, it would make sense. I mean, you would not want to fussy cut this. Oh, look at that. I froze already. Wow. This is crazy. Hang on. Let me see if I can switch this. I really like to be able to see what I'm showing you. There we go. Okay, we're live for now. We'll see how long that lasts. Now, I lost my train of thought. I can't remember what I was saying. But yeah, so if I was doing a whole lot of these, I would probably make the effort to set up the scan and cut so that it could just do a whole bunch. But I am not mass producing, so, and most people, for the most part, are not mass producing. And a lot of people enjoy fussy cutting. And I do find it therapeutic. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes it hurts my hands. Other times it just, I don't know. Anyways. But just to sit and cut once in a while, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to have to do it all the time. Everything in moderation. Okay, I was so excited this week. I got my stamp and storage order so I could continue on organizing my new craft space, which is where I am right now. I don't know if you noticed when it was on my face, you could kind of see some of the background. Let's see how that goes. And we'll put this here maybe. We need some more green. This one. Oh yeah. That works perfectly. So don't, just because something isn't a whole piece, right? Don't think that you shouldn't use it, because it actually works perfectly. And you know, I did think of doing, I don't know if you guys have seen it, or I know I did a video quite a long time ago on the floating, I can't remember, is it called floating pieces technique? Where you use the cling wrap and they all just kind of, maybe I'll have to do one again. I don't know. I thought of it when I was doing this. Let's cut this off again because it's kind of free floating there. And then, so I'm not going to use, so I could even make probably a third card out of this if I wanted to. And then this circle I die cut using the Everyday, what's it called? Everyday Details dies. I was going to say Everyday Essentials, which technically they're kind of circles and squares, or circles and rectangles are, to me, essential dies. Even if you just have one set, everybody needs some circles and rectangles. It's like an essential part of card making. All right, so I've got the little circle here. I'm going to take some Memento. And we'll just stamp that down. I always try to close my ink pads right away because otherwise I will probably stick my finger in it or drop a piece of paper in it, which I don't want to do. All right, so then I'm just going to start gluing these pieces down. And so I'm gluing, the floating technique I was talking about involves popping up all the pieces. I find for this one, I like it. Just, it looks like, let's see, if we go here. I'm kind of leaving that one space open because that's where my sentiment is going to go. But I feel like maybe it needs a bit more. There we go. Okay. We're good. So yeah, position your stuff, figure out how you want it. I mean, this could be done in so many different ways. You'll see my other one is not the same. Just kind of depends on the pieces you cut and kind of the look and the color, how many colors you've cut, right? That'll kind of change how you do that. All right. And, oh, I think we want this underneath. So before I push that down, stick that under there. There we go. And then we'll do this one. Like so. And then maybe okay. And then if they're kind of sticking up, you can put a block on it and let it dry. I won't do that for the sake of time. There we go. And then I'm going to pop this one up. And actually, before I pop it up, I can't remember what size I ended up cutting. So let's just see. And this is a good way too, like if you've got too much white space or you just kind of want to trim everything up, you can kind of take your cutter here, and I want it to be 3 7/8. So I'm going to, I probably should have taken a sharper blade, but I think this blade is on its last legs, as you can see, but that's okay. And then I think we'll cut this part 1/8 of an inch, right? Because we want it to be 5 and 1/8. I might cut a little less and then cut a bit off the other side. Now, it's better if you do this when it's completely dry, but I'm just gonna hope that nothing moves and it all works out. Okay, so that is all trimmed down. Then before I put that on and make it all bumpy, I'm going to mount it onto some mossy meadow. Now, I don't know, my sides don't seem like they're trimmed enough, but it's good enough. Good enough. Oops. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Do you like this format of 3 cards where I make 3 different cards and I kind of give you the techniques, but I don't always walk through the entire card because otherwise you'd be sitting here for hours on hours? Or would you rather me do 1 card from start to finish? Techniques and how to put everything together and whatever. This one I usually do a simple one and put it all together, but as we go along, you'll see I will start skipping steps because, you know, this can only be so long. You know what? I'm just thinking maybe it would look better on Flirty Flamingo, not Flirty, Petal Pink. I'm just thinking, let me see what that would look like. If we took some Petal Pink here. What do you think? Petal Pink? You know what? I'm gonna put it on Petal Pink, and my other one is on white, and then you can see the difference, and then you can let me know which one you like better. I think that kind of looks nice, actually. Okay, and then I don't know if these are still in the annual catalog. They are the Petal Pink and Pretty Peacock foiled gems. I have a feeling they're not, but we do have clear foiled gems. So you could color them with your blends if you wanted matching ones. I just happen to have these ones, so it worked for me. Let's see. And then I don't know why I'm not using my take a pic tool. Probably be a whole lot easier. Here or here, 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 here. I have great troubles deciding where I want dots. Anyways, okay, so this is the one on white, and then the one on Petal Pink. Let me know. I feel like this one, the colors just pop more. I don't know. I like them both, but I'm curious what you what your thoughts are. All right. Okay, so that is card number 1. And if you're wondering where Just a Note came from, it is from the Simply Said stamp set out of the new annual catalog. So that is where that came from, in case you wanted to know. All right, card number 2. I'm just gonna set all this stuff aside so we have room. What's the next one? Oh, it's so tough, you guys. I'm trying to think which one's the most wow. I try to leave the wow for the end. We'll do this messy one in case I need to let it dry for a bit, and then we can kind of go back and forth. So, this one, I've been liking wild wheat lately, and I decided to pair it with Old Olive and Mossy Meadow. Isn't that pretty? I mean, it's super fall colors. It's kind of dreary here today though, so, and things are starting to green up. I don't know. It's just, these colors were calling to me. So, those are the colors I decided on. And then we need our ink refills. You could use this with the ink pads if you only have ink pads, or you could even color markers onto a glass mat or a silicone and then add water to do your watercoloring. There's many ways to stretch colors if you don't have all the things and all the colors. And I also wanted to point out that our watercolor paper, those are my words. The packaging that it comes in, like it comes in a plastic sleeve, but then it has a front and a back that's kind of wrapped around, and it's actually watercolor paper, so it's printed on, but it's watercolor paper. And I did my other card on this, and even though I totally soaked it with water, the printing doesn't come through. So if you want to stretch your watercolor paper, because you know it's expensive, make sure you use the packaging part. I should have done some muscle relaxation and mouth exercises before starting this. I think my jaw is just so tight I can't even talk. All right. Okay, so I've got somewhere, I think I didn't grab it. We've got our water painter, and I've got the Big Daddy. And I'm going to start by wetting my paper. I'm just going to soak it up here. Okay. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see it curling, so you know it's very wet. And then I'm going to take, so there's a couple ways of doing this. You could, the one that I did, I just added drops on the side here, and I picked it up with my paintbrush, and I kind of put it in different areas. I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do a smush. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. As Mossy Meadow is very dark, and Wild Weed is pretty dark too. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of makes that rectangle. And then I forgot my spritzer. If I can find it. Alcohol spritzer is there. Oh, here we go. Okay. Now be careful if you're spritzing, because it could get all over. And now, since I'm using watercolor paper, I can use a fair amount of water. And this is already wet, so it's gonna kind of smush even more. And I'm just gonna smush it down. So instead of painting it, we're smushing it. And then you can pick it up. It didn't have enough water on the yellow. Shoot. Let's see if we can, let's pick up a bit more yellow here. Oh, no, I'm gonna come in with the yellow. Hang on, we've got way too much green going on. Okay, so if you want a more controlled smush, I suggest using your brush. Because like I said, the green is so dark, it just kind of takes over everything. I'm just gonna wipe that all off. Okay. Let's see. Now the other good thing about watercolor paper being very forgiving is you can keep adding water and it doesn't fall apart. I'm sure it only adds to a certain extent, but let's see if we can get this to kind of spread out a little. I don't like those big blotchies. It's quite blotchy, isn't it? Let's see if I add. So, like you see, you're never stuck with what you have, right? So I'm just gonna spread it out so it's not such a, doesn't look like it was just this dot that happened. Same with the yellow. I think I'm gonna try and see if I can not have that concentrated dot. Because, you know, I don't think it looks like eyes staring at me. So if we darken kind of around it, then it won't look so dotted. It's very concentrated. So you have to spritz way more than what I did. If you are trying to repeat this, I always tell my club people, do as I say, not as I do. And I make the mistakes before they do, so then, well, that one's still about a dot, but that's okay. It'll probably get hidden anyways. So we will wipe this all up. Now, if I was smart, I would have had a second sheet handy and ready to go, because I probably could have picked up a whole other sheet worth of ink. Like, it's soaked. So, where's my, okay, I know my heat tool is right here. I brought it over. I'm just gonna, and the nice thing with this gloss mat is it's heat resistant, or not heat resistant, what do you call it? I guess you could, it's not supposed to, it's supposed to tolerate the heat, so it won't crack. It actually turned out kind of nice in the end. That's the thing, you just have to kind of keep adding color, and sometimes just letting it dry helps. Of course, I don't have the luxury of time and letting it dry, So what I think I'll do is I'll dry this a bit now, and I'm going to set it aside because there's more we're going to do with this, obviously. I'll set it aside, I'll make the other card, and then we'll come back to this one, and hopefully it'll be mostly dry because I need it to be dry in order to, I'm going to put some embossing powder on it, and if it's wet, when you put the powder on, it ends up sticking, and you don't want that because you want the print that you want. You don't just want the whole background of powder. So it's getting all curly and mingled because I am heat drying it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a block on top here. I need the big block. Where should I put this? I'm going to put it on my table because it's, oh no, I'm going to get this all messy. Okay. Just set it off to the side here. Double block it. I'll set that away. All right. Clean this up a little. And then we can move on to this next section here. Okay, I think I'm gonna need a new baby wipe. All right, let me put these ones away for this card. And we'll move on to what I thought was going to be my wild card, but now the other one will be. So I decided to pull out this oh so beautiful paper. It is the Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper, and it is perfect. So you saw we just made some paper, but you know, this paper kind of already has all the wash done for you. So if you just pick a color scheme that you want, like even this for the, I ended up taking this one, I believe. I liked the color combo, but you could use any of it to do the same thing. Oops. And you know, you could even use this side. Like, they're just such pretty paper. But anyways, I'm going to use this side. I'm going to pull out my Stamparatus here. And I'm going to set it in the corner so that I know if I do this multiple times that I need it tight in the corner, and then it'll print in the right spot. Then I'm going to take my Versamark and my anti-static. I need a bigger what do you call it? The thing that goes under the chair to roll. Either I need hardwood or I need a bigger piece because I try to roll to get to the other side and I get stuck. So I end up standing, which I don't mind except for my feet do not allow me to stand. So they are not happy when I stand. Okay, sorry, the noise banging against the glass is not. Okay, so I've got my Versamark and it's tight in the corner. And I'm just gonna come in and try and give it a good rub all the way everywhere. And then you can tell it's sticking. And I see it, but I'm gonna give it one more go here. You know what would help is if I move, well, I don't want to move that. It's fine. just put an ink pad under this because then it is at the good height and just inks really well. Okay, it's tight in the corner. Come back down. You could do this one of two ways. You could do it once, put the powder on, and if it does well, then just leave it as is. Or you could come back and do it a second time if needed. Or you can just do it twice from the get-go, and then you'll have a... Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to grab my clear embossing powder here. And then we're just going to put powder everywhere. You can kind of see the picture starting. Can you see that? Put more in the corner here. Put more in the corner here. I think we are good. Okay, remove that. Oh, then we're going to make sure we take away all the powder, because if we're heating on top of this, we don't want powder all stuck to the board. Okay, and then I'm just going to heat away. So you've got this instant background colors, unlike what we did with the water. And it's a good way to use your designer series paper. Now, the only trick is I'm going to be putting ink on top of this, so it does get quite saturated, and designer series paper is not as thick as cardstock. So you just want to make sure that you end up gluing it to some cardstock, because otherwise it will buckle a little bit. It won't be flat unless you, again, stick it under a block and or something heavy, a book, something. Looks like I had a bit of white powder mixed in. We have some white speckles. That's okay. All good. All right. So I don't know if you can see that. Oh, you know what? I didn't think. So I used a blender brush to color this, but now I'm wondering if our brayer, I don't know with the detail, but let me try. See how much the brayer can get into the grooves. Might be a quicker, easier way. You guys are being very quiet today. Okay, I really need to move this because it's just kind of in the way. I'm going to put it on here. Okay. Now I've got space. Oh, it just, embossing powder gets everywhere. It is not a neat and tidy thing to use. So I don't usually, if I'm not demonstrating, I don't actually use the powder on my work surface. You keep it separate. Keep all the messes separate. All right, Let's try this again. Let's see how much ink we can put down. Oh yeah, way faster. Because really, the whole idea is just to get this as dark and solid as possible. So you don't have to worry about how much. Oh, it looks like I kind of missed. Maybe, oh, maybe it was just blue there. I'm gonna get a nice dark. Way faster than a blender brush. All right. So much faster. And I should have had a scrap paper to roll this onto because it does hold. This new brayer is amazing. It holds so much ink. But so like you can see, it's kind of starting to curl because there is quite a bit of ink on it. And you want to wipe, hang on, let me wipe this first. My hands by the end of this look like a mess. I guess if I wanted to keep my hands clean, I could use a glove or something. And then I'm just going to take a tissue to take off the extra ink, because we have the clear embossing powder that resists the ink. Okay, and then it gets oh so nice and bright. Oh, pretty. And then it has like a shine where the clear, it almost looks metallic. I don't know, it's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys can see that. And then we just want to cut it down to size. First, we'll just cut a piece, and then what do I do? I don't think I want to cut that much. Let's see if I'm cutting here. Oh, I totally thought I was somewhere else there. Okay, and then we'll cut a chunk of that. And look at that. And then we've got a beautiful background. What do you guys think? Isn't it pretty? And now to to have it not curl, I cut my background piece of white out of the thick white cardstock just so that it can help flatten this out. Isn't that cool how, because the ink kind of went through, you can see the leaves in the background? Like this could make a whole other cool background by doing that. And if you don't like the shiny, I've showed this before where you can put another piece of paper on here and then take your iron and iron it, and you'll actually get a really nice reverse print, but it'll take off the embossing powder so it'll be matte and sheer. But I like the shine for this one, so I'm not gonna do that. And if you want to see it done, it's in my videos. I think it's probably easiest to find old videos on my YouTube channel because you can, I think it has a better description of them. I'm not sure. Because at one point Facebook stopped putting the titles down. And so it was hard to find things. But there is one. It's like not embossed resist maybe. Might have been in there. I don't totally remember. Okay, so we've got this piece. Then I have pre-cut and embossed with the distressed, what's it called? Distressed Tile 3D embossing folder. I am not sure if it's still in the catalog. Everything's just switched over. It's so hard, and I haven't marked everything. I don't have a retired sticker on it, so I have a feeling it's still current, but I'm not sure I did everything. I could just put it across like this, but I want to have banners. There's two ways, well, there's many ways to do banners. You can use, so I have an old punch that has, so I use this to do my banner like so, and I just go in, try and get it centered, and punch, and then I have the other way to do it is to cut a slit up, and I'm not going to do it because I want it to match the side, but you cut a slit in the middle, and then you just cut from the corner to the middle and the corner to the middle, and then you get an even punch as well. So there we go. I used my cheater punch. That punch is not, oh, it's too long. It is not a, it is quite an old punch. Okay, that fits better. Then we're going to glue this down. At the end of the glue, I brought up an extra one just in case. Okay, and then I cut out, these ones are current, of the Wanted to Say dies. I used the You're Too Kind. So that this die set has the background and the words. So I've got, and I used our, what do you call it? The adhesive sheet. So I don't have to put glue on this because I would get glue everywhere. There's a couple ways to do it without, you know, you can use a sponge. I've shown, but again, it's kind of like along the lines of fussy cutting, especially for videos. I'm not going to take the time to torture people while I try to get to glue. Anyways, I'll poke those out later. Okay. So it's much easier to just peel. Oops. Stick. Peel. You could use foil paper if you wanted some bling. There. Even just that is pretty. So this is Pretty Peacock, but there's some Lost Lagoon in the paper. And if you're wanting to know what colors are in your designer series paper, they are always listed on the back. And it tells you what the main colors are. It doesn't always have all of the colors, but it'll tell you kind of the basics. Enough to know what you need to know. As usual, I'm down to the nitty-gritty of my dimensionals. Oh, look at that. I still have, there we go. Line that up. And then I realized it just so happens that the gems on the floor that I used for my first card had the pretty peacock foil ones. So I thought, why not use these again? Add some bling. And well, we need one more. It's got to be uneven. There. And then, I think I forgot to cut the card back, but I ended up putting it onto a pretty peacock cardstock, and that is the finished card. And it was much easier. So see, this one isn't as dark even because I used the blender brush to put the color down, but the brayer is way faster. So if you have a brayer, keep that in mind. That's the easy way to go. All right, hopefully our stuff has dried enough that we can work with it. Let me just move all of this out of the way. Okay, and we will pull the sheet back in. It's still wet. Let's add another shot of heat here. I used quite a bit of water. So, mental note, if you don't have a lot of time to wait for your stuff to dry, use less water. And to use less water, if you use the brush technique instead of smooshing it into a puddle of water, obviously less water will be put down. So you can see it went like it soaked all the way through and is on the words, but you can't see the words at all. It doesn't bleed into your picture. So you can totally use, even if you wanted to use it as a practice sheet, but I don't know why you wouldn't just use it as regular watercolor paper, because it does the job. So why not? All right, this top part is still just a wee bit soggy. Okay, we'll just get lots of powder down. this doesn't stick to the wetness. Okay, then we'll have our plate back here. Now this one's tricky too because it's not as big of a sheet, so I can't just tuck it in the corner. Because the problem with the way this is designed is it doesn't work great to have it placed in the corner. But what I could do, that's fine. So what I did before was I taped it down, but where did I put my washi tape? Oh, it's hiding here. I'll use a thicker one. Use 2 pieces. Now, the whole reason I want to tape it is because, especially on this one, I want to make sure that I can put the Versamark more than once because it is so textured. This is one where you want to be able to get as much Versamark in there as possible. Okay. So once again, ink this up. And I'm really gonna let it have time to soak in. I don't know if Versamark really soaks in, but you can kind of see it there. I'm gonna give this at least 2. Goes. Oh yeah, you can see it now. I'm just going to do that center part a little bit more. Looks like it's missing a little bit. What the heck. I'll give it all a third hit here. Okay, and then before I lift it up, I'm going to grab my white powder, which I really need to put some more powder in here. Locking in powder. Okay, so we've got our paper here, and I'm going to use my tweezers and put it where it doesn't need powder. I'll set that aside, and we'll start putting the powder down. So this is a different look with the white instead of the clear. So now my leaves are white instead of the colored part, and the background is the star of the show, if you want to call it that. Okay, it looks like I have a bit of extra right in the corner where the tape was. Should I brush it off or should I leave it? Sometimes trying to do things makes things worse, but we'll just take off a little bit. There. I'll put a bit more here. Okay, here we go. Now, make sure there's, oh, I did better. There's less powder than last time. Let's see. Okay, then take the heat tool, oops. So not only will we emboss the powder, we're also drying the paper at the same time. So now the watercolor paper does give it that texture, right? Like you can see the leaves has the kind of the waffly texture of the water paper, of the watercolor paper. So if you want a solid print, you could do this again and again if you lined it up in a way that you could stamp it again after each time. But I still think you'll have a hard time getting that unless you used a Versamark marker to get in the grooves. But I kind of like it. You can then see the colors through the leaves a little bit. If you wanted to, you could emboss the leaves first and then do the smash, but then, well, yeah. And then you wouldn't have to, then you could set it aside to dry. I find, well, you saw, it's easier to see the Versamark that you've put down when it's colored already. So if you were just doing it on the watercolor paper, it would be hard to see what is, whether you've got a good coverage of Versamark, but you wouldn't be dealing with the wetness of the paper and powder sticking. Although you can see, as long as you use the anti-static, even when the paper is a bit damp, it did really well. The powder didn't stick. So either way is doable. Okay, and voila. So you can see it's curly. So once again, I would normally, oh my goodness, glue this down and put a block on it overnight and let it straighten out. But for now, it is what it is. Then I've got we don't need the card base right now. We can use these ones. Okay, so I cut a banner piece from the Nested Essentials dies. Again, there isn't a retired stick on here, but I feel like it's retired. Don't quote me on it. I'm not sure. Then I'm gonna stamp some of the stuff from the Country Flowers, which is a new set out of the annual catalog. Okay, I don't know if my comments aren't coming up or if you guys are just like dead quiet. Anyways, hopefully you're just being quiet, which is fine. I just don't want to. Stamps are already out. Hello. My brain is done, I think. I could not. Oh, I didn't want this in black. See, My brain really is done. I don't know what is wrong with me today. Okay, I want the bucket in black. And then I want my leaves, which I thought these leaves kind of go with this kind of leafy theme happening. Where's my, it's hiding. It's hiding. I'm gonna stamp it in the wild wheat. Once again, wild wheat is my new go-to color. I avoided it for so long because it just was weird. It's like baby poop. It's like really? But it goes with so many colors and it's really pretty. Maybe I feel like it's kind of a fashion in color, which is funny because you think of in colors, and Stampin' Up! Does their in colors because the fashion industry really does dictate kind of the in colors and what, like, just it's what you see in advertisements and whatever, so that kind of becomes the norm. And so I think that's why they kind of like our in colors tend to kind of follow if they hit it right, because they plan these things so many years ahead. Like everybody's kind of speculating what the next thing is going to be, both design wise, like these country flower, you know, just everything has to be done so far in advance. So it's a speculation, but I feel like wild wheat is one of those colors that you're seeing more in clothing, and therefore it becomes kind of a normal color to see. Okay, and as this is copper clay, because I thought, I don't know, I know it's copper clay, but when I hear copper, I just think copper and it just sounds nice. I thought about trying to use some copper foil or something, but I know we don't have any copper foil right now, so I didn't want to tease people. Okay, so I'm going a bit darker because you will see why. I'm going to take this light smoky slate and I'm just going to kind of give the whole pot a light rub so it kind of has that tin kind of look. So there's my pot, and then again I'm going to come in with the wild wheat. And so my intentions at the end is to make the leaf outline with white embossing powder, but the embossing powder reacts with alcohol markers and it supposedly wrecks the tips. Now I always thought that was silliness, and I used to color because I'd seen other people color, and it doesn't do anything at the time. Like it's not like it's not the texture that wrecks it. It's, I think, whatever chemical reaction happens, because I would go to my blends down the road and all of a sudden my whole tip was all kind of frayed and white and no longer colored well. And so I don't encourage you to use the blends on top of embossing powder. I'm going to do it after the fact. So I'm going to come in with some green. This is Old Olive. I thought that the Mossy Meadow would be just too dark here. can go with the darker bottom. And then we'll blend it all out. Wild wheat. A bit more green here. And I feel like it just stops too abruptly. Real line gets put in. Okay, so then just hit it with the, oops, let it dry a bit or speed it up. Because, I mean, alcohol dries. Doing everything with this cord. All right, and then what I'm going to do is go back, and since this is a photopolymer, it's easy enough to see, and you might not get it perfect. And if you really wanted perfect, you could put it, lined it up in your Stamparatus or Misty, and brought your paper back and put it down. Or you can just kind of eyeball it. Most of the line from the wild wheat got blended in with the blends anyways, so it's not the end of the world. And then we will get our white powder again. So I think it did pretty good. And then it'll get the white outline to kind of match our background. And then you can cut them out with the dies, which is what I did. And then I will just show you the finished card since we are at an hour. You don't need to wait. So I popped up the leaves and I glued down the pot directly onto the piece. I just added a piece of wild wheat cardstock, and the banner and the So Lucky to Know You is from the Country Flowers stamp set. And then these embellishments are, I don't think they're around anymore. They were part of Celebration, and I just thought that I don't know if it's copper or not, but it matched very well. So that's what I used. So as a recap, I can clean off my space here. I caught a bigger surface and somehow I still struggle to have enough space. We have our You're Too Kind and just a note. Let's move that out of the way. There we go. Those are our 3 cards, or the petal pink. Hopefully you will let me know. Even if you're watching the replay, let me know. Petal pink, white. I always have troubles deciding. I usually text my son and he's my decider. which one? He's very, not very decisive, but just opinionated. That's what I was looking for. So he's kind of my sounding board. Anyways, hopefully you have a great rest of your week. I am probably not going to be here next Wednesday, as I will be traveling possibly. So have a great rest 2 weeks, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. I might try and pop on another day if I can. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Enjoy. Take care. Bye.